demon, being possessed. We're going to talk about another one here with...
Actually, I knew there was this little lady, rather old, about in her late 90s, that was in the dining room, a small dining room there. I didn't realize at the time, but they put her in there for a reason. Everybody else was up in the big dining room. But anyway, I was going down the hall when I heard this deep voice. It was the deepest man's voice I've ever heard. And it was like, "You fucker." And I turned around and I looked back and I see this little old lady sitting at this table in this room by herself. And I was looking when this other staff member came down the hall and she said, "What's the matter?" I said, I was just wondering who was down there. She said, I think her name was, I want to say Minnie. Because I walked halfway down, I was looking, I didn't see anyone else. She said, "Oh, that's Minnie." I said, "No, I heard someone else talking." She said, "No, just Minnie down there." She said, "She talks in the third voice." I said, "What are you talking about, the third voice?" And she's like, "She talks in 3 different voices. She's possessed." And I'm like, "No way," you know. And another staff member was coming down the hall. She said, "Oh, you talking about Minnie?" She said, "Yeah." She said, "She just heard one of her voices," or something like that. Anyway, they went on down the hall, and all of a sudden I hear this little, I had my back to her again, I hear this little girl talking, and I turn around and I see this little lady. She's got her head turned like she's talking to someone. It was like the voice of maybe a 5 or 6-year-old kid. And then she turned back around and was talking in a woman's voice. And then she turned back around, and then I heard the little kid's voice again. It's like she was making a conversation, but it was 3 different voices that I heard come from this woman. There was nobody else in the room. It was kind of spooky. It kind of spooked me out.
Right. How old was this lady, do you know?
I would say she had to be about 90s, maybe 98. She was in her late 90s.
And how long ago was this?
This has been probably about 10 years ago.
10 years ago. Did she have any family members that would come there? Or?
Nobody ever visited this little lady that I know of.
And
But the other staff, when I said something to them, it was like they all knew it. They're like, "Oh, she talks in the third voice." I said, "Really? I've never seen that." You know, it was weird.
right.
And I've never seen anything like this. I have seen some rather bizarre things since then, but I've never seen anything like that.
So, I mean, how did the nurses handle her? How did you guys go to her room like you would normally do to take care of the patient?
I really didn't have any dealings with her. I walked in and I gave her, I think I had to give her some medicine that day. I just walked in. She took her medicine, and when I walked away is when I heard her talking in the little kid's voice. So other than that, I guess she was, you know, except that for some reason, they told me that other staff members that were coming down the hall that told me that she talks in the third voice told me that they isolate her from the other residents.
And
Just to keep from upsetting the other residents, because they said she carries on this conversation in 3 different voices and it kind of upsets the other residents. So they let her eat in that back room by herself.
So they isolated her. And how often did people talk about her? I mean, every time you went there, was it?
Well, I didn't work there on staff. I worked for an agency, so I would go in occasionally, and it was just like a common thing. It's like, it wasn't bizarre to them. It's like they were used to it.
So, and how long did you work there? And then you noticed how many days do you recall working there, and how many times did you actually see this lady? Do you remember?
Actually, I don't think I worked there again after that. I had probably worked there maybe 3 or 4 times before that, before I experienced that.
And when you go to a nursing home, how long does them people usually stay in there?
Oh, some of them are there for years.
But pretty much they're there just to die, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're at the gate of death, pretty much.
Yeah, they come there to die.
And that's your only experience with that woman, is that one time.
That one time.
And you heard a man's voice, a
And-
child's voice, and
and a woman's voice.
a woman's voice. What did it say? I mean, what did the
I
child say?
don't remember what the child said, and the woman, it was like she was carrying on a conversation. But I remember to this day that voice, that man's voice. It was a really deep voice, like, you fucker. It's like, I never even heard a man talk like that. It was just very, very bizarre. Very, very deep, like a growling voice. You fucker.
What did her facial
I turned
expression?
around and her face, she was sitting there, this little old lady just sitting there looking at me. Like I'm looking at you, no expression on her face.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing out of the ordinary. That's why I turned around, I was just kind of like startled. I was looking for someone else to be in the room with her and I didn't see anyone.
And all the nurses knew that she talked in 3 different voices.
The regular staff members that worked there were aware of this. It was just like, oh, that's Minnie. She talks in a 3rd voice.
Okay, and that's another interview with another person that lives in an old folks home. People go there to die, and we'll get back with you with another interview.